Yeah.
Okay, so hi, Carrie Ann. So what we're going to do today is so many people think that they eat correctly, and
Mhm.
they get to a certain age, or even younger people that won't be told how how they might like to change what they
Yeah.
eat,
Yeah. Yeah.
stuck in their ways,
True.
and then it's so how this is very interesting. How can we, as Lighthouse Brain Health Associates, when we go into people, they ask us for our help, and we may go into their house, and we're seeing their house, and on the side you can see, maybe because people in America, they have very open spaces, don't they? Have the kitchen and the
Mhm.
lounge and
Yeah.
the dining
Yeah.
room all together.
Yeah.
So many people do. And and most of our clients, let's face it, most people that we will see will be more mature people. So they
Mhm.
may well have downsized. So they really do have, an open plan place.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can get an inkling then of what's on the side, because people leave things out on the side. And so often we can go in and there's a big box of, say, Cheetos, or there's
Mhm.
a big box of candy, or a big box of whatever that's probably not very healthy for them. Uh, and it's like, so we're just clocking it all the time, because we know that those things have a lot of salt in them and a lot
Yes.
of extra
Oh
sugar.
my gosh, I'm finding out about salt. My they want, my husband has to do a low sodium diet now. That's what they're talking. And so I'm trying to buy things that are low in salt. And it's unbelievable how much salt is in things.
So
Now, our
Mhm,
doctor in
mhm.
Michigan recommends that we have a teaspoon of Celtic sea salt every day and use that on our food and that kind of thing because the Celtic sea salt is not refined, it's unrefined, and it has the full spectrum of minerals. So when, the heart doctor says, how come you're taking a teaspoon of salt a day? My husband went last time without me, and he didn't really know exactly why. But that's why Dr. B found that people with heart conditions have a lack of minerals in their bodies. So the Celtic sea salt puts the minerals back in.
Yeah, but not necessarily
Hey,
all the
how
extra
those little
sodium.
things.
Yeah, so this is very interesting. So when I did, let me just grab a file of mine then, if you're talking about salt, because this will be very interesting. So
Yeah.
I did a whole course on high blood pressure.
Hmm. And that he uses Celtic sea salt for high blood pressure, brings it down.
Okay, and it's very interesting as well, because I've just come back from went via Iceland, and I
Yeah.
bought some Iceland sea salt
Yeah.
with seaweed in it, because I know that seaweed's good for us as well.
Yeah.
So this is, let me just try and find the salt bit, because high blood pressure, hypertension that people have, as we know, that can lead to heart conditions as well. Uh, and again, if the blood flow isn't right, it's not going to the brain, it can always cause other issues. People don't maybe just have an issue with their memory loss. They will also maybe have high blood pressure. They will also have congestive heart
Sure.
failure. They will also have COPD. They will
Yeah.
also have movement issues.
Hmm.
It's never, unfortunately, as people get older, it tends to be never just one thing. So it's not great. So let me just try and find all the information that I have here, because actually what I can do is I can take photographs of it
Yeah.
and send it to you, because
Great.
there are actually some proper bits in here. information about the sodium and what we're allowed to have. Now, in England, Carrie Ann, when my father-in-law had a heart attack at 58, he no salt, wasn't allowed any salt at all.
That's not good.
Um,
Oh, we need salt.
yeah, but he and actually, and sometimes I don't have very much salt, and I end up getting cramp because I think you need your salts to get because that's what can happen as well. So it is really quite interesting. I love it when somebody mentions this, and I'm going back through this file, and I'm like going, oh my gosh, that's so cool. I remember that. So it's there we go. Salt, here we go. Okay, so I'll take photographs of this to put it in because it is interesting, like you say. So and again, this is an English course, so it will be possibly slightly different. But salt is essential for the health of our bodies, like you said. Unfortunately, most of us eat so much that it puts us at risk of stroke, high blood pressure, and heart disease. So that's because salt causes the bloodstream to hold more water than necessary, increasing the volume and pressure of blood, which puts excessive strain on your body. Now, you said that your husband had water retention.
Yeah.
So salt holds
congestion from the water. There's fluid around his lungs and heart.
So when I massaged somebody once, and I used to massage her fairly regularly, probably twice every 2 weeks. And there was once she came and her body was so different to how it usually is. It was just so much more harder and fluid. There was so much fluid retention cells. I could, I said to her, I said, there's a lot of water retention here. I said, are you eating a lot of salt? And she goes, oh yeah, I've been going through a massive thing of having celery and salt.
Oh my gosh.
And I just went, can you stop it? I said, seriously. I said, I can feel it. Yeah, just stop it.
That's a good suggestion. Sometimes I tell my clients that.
Yeah, and it's such a funny story, isn't it? Stop it. Because it's she was just retaining. I mean, I could tell the difference. It was visibly in her body. I could feel it. And so she says, oh, I've added salt to everything. So she was always adding salt to stuff, but now she'd actually overdone it. And it was like, oh. So I explained to her, I said, it holds water. I said, it's potentially really bad for you, too much. So she stopped. But let me just read this. Studies give mixed results. All right. But generally, a measurable risk is seen when we consume more than 2 grams of salt per day. Compare that to the current UK guideline of 6 grams of salt per day. So I think we've even got American ones in here as well. So what is?
I looked it up, and that was what they said, 2 grams or 2,300, which was 2 point whatever, 3 or whatever.
So table salt is a combination of sodium molecules, Na, and chloride molecules, Ci, bound together as sodium chloride. This is important because not all food manufacturers list the amount of salt. Some only list the amount of sodium.
Yes. Yes.
Interesting, isn't it? So it's so always check the labels and remember that 1 gram of sodium is equal to 2.5 grams of salt. So they'll say the sodium because it's so much less.
Yeah.
And it looks like it's less.
Yeah.
So they're very cunning. So
that's the way it's usually listed. And, I've been looking at a lot of labels. Yesterday I was grocery shopping. I'm looking at all these different labels and
it says
all
sodium.
They list it as sodium.
Oh, yeah.
Although the ingredients, they have to say if there's salt in there.
Right. But isn't that interesting?
But you need to kind of go
double it up, triple it then. So salt sensitivity, the biggest issue is that some people are more sensitive to salt than others. This can be sensitivity to sodium, to chloride, or even both. So you see, now we've got the problem of some people are more sensitive. And as we change, as our bodies change,
Right.
I think we change too. So when we're little, we might flush it easier. As we get older, what can happen is that, what Carol Becker says in her video, is that we lose the ability to know when we're thirsty. So we actually naturally drink less water. So now that's less water flushing the salt through.
Yeah.
But you might be eating the same amount, but you're not getting the water to balance it out, which is why then the body will retain the water.
Right. Because it doesn't have enough.
Yeah. So now that's an interesting, so that is all very functional, isn't it? It's very interesting.
Yeah.
So salt sensitivity can run in families, but this isn't the whole story, because people can become more sensitive to salt when they are stressed. Well, your husband's going to be stressed because he's in hospital.
Well, he's not in the hospital right now, but
But when he was,
yeah, he'll be going probably.
so when people have got dementia, when people are
Yeah.
going through that, when people are going through memory issues, they're going to be stressed. We already know that.
Yeah.
So now everything's changing.
Yeah.
That, and then they might also forget to drink water, because people can forget. Because if you haven't got that trigger that you're thirsty, so that's why you have to be reminded to drink water. Interesting, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
So that's because stress hormones cause both sodium and chloride to be absorbed more easily into the bloodstream. So now you've got somebody who's stressed and they're absorbing more, and so then they get fluid. And then we know that salt can cause other issues.
Right.
So here's some tips for reducing your salt intake. So buy fresh or frozen vegetables where possible. Rinse canned foods to remove excess salt. I actually always do that with my beans anyway. If I'm doing cannelloni beans or kidney beans, I wash them through. But isn't that interesting?
I thought about that. So if you have a can, foods, wash it. Is that what they're saying?
Yeah, wash it.
That's kind of what I was thinking to myself. There are certain things that might have salt in them, or the sodium that's not good for us. And I was thinking I could probably rinse it, rinse some of that off.
Watch the breakfast cereals, bread, cakes, biscuits. For most people, these represent around a third of the daily salt intake. Buy low or reduced sodium versions, or no salt added. So you've already probably done
something I think would be optimal, because some of the salt substitutes are not necessarily good.
Yeah. Avoid adding salt when cooking and eating. So, and we might do to the potatoes or carrots if you're boiling them, might add salt, or use soy sauce and gravy sparingly. Soy sauce. So avoid Chinese, because that always, and again, there's been times, so some people, when they have margaritas, they put all the salt around the thing. And I remember once, actually, I don't like margaritas, but somebody was having, and they got
can't drink much at all.
No,
it's wine occasionally, and I'm drunk, so it's not.
It's what it is. It's not good for you, but
it is.
And we went to a sea place as well, and there was lobster and this and that, and I didn't even have any lobster. Don't ask me. But the next day, I couldn't get rings on or off. My heart, everything was swollen because of all the salt.
Yeah.
Absolutely crazy. It was almost like I'd absorbed it. Everybody was eating loads and loads of lobsters, and I hardly had any at all. It was just like, oh my goodness. So eat more naturally potassium-rich foods, such as avocado, raisins, baked potato, tomatoes, cooked spinach, as this helps reduce sodium levels in the body. Be careful with salt substitutes, as you may still be sensitive to chloride, and the levels of potassium in them can be too high for people with kidney issues. Check with your doctor, okay? But again, we've got another one here. It's quite interesting about the whole salt thing and high blood pressure. So I don't want to go on the whole time, but I'm going to take pictures of these, bearing in mind that I did this course back in 2011.
Right. Oh my gosh.
So it's quite an old one. But yeah, as I said, I've been doing this for a long time, but it's the fact it's very helpful for us when we see people, because we can do the control room, we can lower, in their own thing. You can actually probably do the control room with your husband and get his, no, I don't want the salt in my bloodstream. No, I'm going to flush it out. I'm going to do this. It's amazing what you can do with hypnosis. I'll share this with you, Carrie Ann. So
I know last time when he had bypass surgery, speaking of hypnosis, I made him a CD to prep him for the surgery. I didn't have very long, just a few days, but I did that. And he said, Carrie, he said, I never realized what you did. He said, I never really realized what you did until you made me that CD. It made all the difference in the world. It made it so much easier for me.
Oh, not nice.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Then,
When I was learning just recently in Las Vegas stage hypnosis, one of the skits,
it's fun.
yeah, it was very good fun. It was very good fun. One of the skits, though, somebody did was making everybody eat loads of like a hot dog competition. They had to eat 100 hot dogs. And there was a man there on the stage who actually had diabetes, and his blood sugar spiked.
Oh my gosh.
It went right up, like
Oh my goodness.
200 something, and it was, and so, and he could feel that, and he felt ill.
Yeah, sure.
In
Oh my
hypnosis,
gosh.
he had eaten.
Well, the body will do amazing things. Well, they've discovered that people who have multiple personalities will have they'll have maybe diabetes in one personality, but when they're in the other personality, they don't have it at all. And even their eyes will change. The color of their eyes will be blue in one of the, you know,
Personalities.
one
And
personality, and they'll be brown in another personality. I mean, that's the ability of the body to change.
oh, I didn't know that the eye
Yeah.
changed as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I would know
Scars in one
physiology.
personality, and the other personality, the scar isn't there. Isn't that amazing? I mean,
Wow. Where's the evidence on that one? Because that
well,
was
you know
fascinating.
who I read it, it was one of Deepak Chopra's books that he wrote
Oh my gosh.
as he, you know,
Wow.
and I choose to remember what book it was. It was years
No,
ago,
no, because he
years
wouldn't,
and years.
because I just
Yeah,
want, I mean,
but
I
I've
would
seen it.
definitely understand that the physiology, because I've done it myself. I've done it with somebody's bloods in who was with cancer. She had to have an operation and her bloods weren't right. So on the Friday, I did the control room and I
Mhm.
gave her a recording and she listened to it all over the weekend. And on Monday,
Mhm.
they said, oh, your bloods are fine. You can have the operation now. But they'd gone up or down, whichever one they were meant to be,
Yeah,
11
yeah, yeah.
points. And so she was okay to have it. And it was like, who knows? But actually, I would think it was probably the
Yes.
hypnosis because just from that,
Well, it
really had
started with
to
the
work on
thought
him.
of
Yeah.
receptive of being receptive of that thought of
Well, yeah. Well, somebody had to work on this man afterwards, to bring it back down.
Oh my God.
Because he was
You had to give them
his
insulin.
monitor was going beep beep beep.
Oh my gosh. Isn't that something? Yeah.
So the power of suggestion, the mind doesn't know if it's real or imagined.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, that's why stage hypnosis, it can be so funny, but yeah, you have to make sure that everybody's healthy
Yeah.
before you
Really.
do something like that one, you
Mhm.
know?
Yeah.
So isn't that crazy? Yeah. So his blood sugar spiked. So it just goes to show what we can also do to help people.
Mm. Yeah.
So it's and I think that's very powerful. So you know, so if your husband knows that, then you know that he probably, you know, again, you can listen to that same recording when he goes in to have his stents. So that's
Okay.
really nice.
Yeah.
Um, so
Well, it'll be a little bit different because with this one, when with its open heart, they go, their heart actually goes onto a pump. So, the language is going on the pump and off back, off the pump and being able to come up from the surgery. There's a lot of tubes that have to come out after surgery. That's really kind of,
yeah, so you might want to do a different one then.
yeah. So
Or
I'll
just
do,
a soothing, more a
yeah,
soothing one, or
yeah,
a recovery one.
right.
Um,
Have that too.
so so yeah, it's just about just reading the labels and
Yeah,
understanding that salt is sodium times 2.5. That actually, you know, sodium will appear, you'll think, oh, that's salt. It is, but you've got to times it.
yeah,
And that's why it looks like, oh, it hasn't got much salt, because people think sodium is salt,
yes,
but
yeah.
it's not. It's very, very
So imagine these
deceptive.
products that have a lot of sodium in them.
Then how much salt is that? Even up
How
to
much salt is
grams.
that they're taking in?
Yeah, even up to 6 grams. That's like scary, isn't it?
Right.
So it's so yeah, so we just got to buy. So goes back to the same old thing I said. We were going to talk about the food. How do we say things? So we're looking around their house. We can look and we can see all the salty things, maybe, you know, and we're going, okay. And just about having, you know, just reducing. You know,
Mhm.
again, we've got to be mindful that people, we're not here to make life horrible and
Yeah.
miserable, but balance, and encouraging more fresh fruit, more fresh blueberries, because blueberries are good, full of antioxidants,
Mhm.
raspberries, all the berries.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, we know that there's natural sugars in strawberries, but hey, they're also full of vitamin C.
Yes.
So, but it's natural at least,
That's right.
and it's
There's
fiber.
a difference. There is a big difference between fruit and sugar.
Yeah, it's because it's fructose.
We need natural glucose. That's what when we actually have sugar cravings, that's what we're craving,
Yeah,
the natural.
and same with things like avocados, fat, good fat.
Mhm.
So it's just encouraging. Well, what do you like? So we get curious, but we make it all very nice and pleasant. And well, you might like to have less of that, and making our wonderful suggestions that we can make and put
Yeah.
them in a bowl instead of sitting there with the whole box.
Mm.
Because when
Yeah.
you have a bowl, then you know you can't,
Makes
people
a
can't be
difference.
bothered, yeah, they can't be
Yeah.
bothered to get back up. But whereas that's why people sit there with a whole bag of
Mm.
chips or
Yeah.
crisps or whatever
Yeah.
it is, and will just mindlessly eat.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, sometimes I can make a big bowl of popcorn. And I'm eating and eating. That's about
Yeah,
the
and
only
you
thing I
choose
ever
to.
do.
Yeah, and you choose to, and you know you're going to do it, and then
Yeah.
that's your choice.
Yeah.
So it's like, so however, we both know that if you do that every day for
Oh,
30 days, then
mhm.
that becomes
Yeah.
a habit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And actually, I don't know, but I think it depends on popcorn whether you're going to add salt or add loads of butter.
Yeah. I usually I cook it in olive oil, and I and I do put salt on it, but I put natural salt.
Yeah, your Celtic
No,
salt.
I use either the Redmond salt or Celtic sea salt. Redmond use on the table a lot, but it's the same type of thing that you were talking about. Iceland? Is that what
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
talking
from
about?
Iceland I went to.
Yeah.
Yeah, Celtic, yeah.
So it's from I think it's more from the mountains or
Yeah.
whatever.
So that, and it's
Earth.
proper
It comes
volcanic.
from the
Yeah,
earth more
yeah,
than, but those are things that we need. And that's the kind of salt that our body really does need.
yeah. No, I agree. And then there's like
I
Himalayan
don't put a lot
salt,
on it.
pink salt.
Yeah,
So
just a,
Carrie Ann, what we do encourage our clients to do is use coconut oil.
yeah.
Yeah.
Coconut.
So
Okay.
next time, so when and it comes as a solid, next time you have your popcorn, do it in coconut oil.
I personally would not. I don't like coconut oil.
Okay. Have you
I
ever
use
tasted it?
avocado oil a
Oh,
lot.
avocado oil.
Yeah,
Okay. Have you
that's
ever
another
taken?
one.
Yeah.
But now I'm hearing it said that if you have a really good olive oil, you're still going to get the benefits of that of the polyphenols in a really
Well,
good
you are if
olive
you've got a
oil,
really good the extra.
even if you're cooking in it, you know.
Okay. All
But
right.
high heats, I usually go with the avocado oil.
Yeah, so do I. Okay, so you know that anyway. So
Yeah,
the purpose
doesn't
of
have.
anybody watching this after us, the reason why is because when we use a normal, as you say, it has to be high grade olive oil, as you found. But if somebody's just using a normal olive oil, when you cook with it and it gets heated, it goes
Yeah,
into a triglyceride, and
yeah,
actually it becomes an unhelpful fat
right,
as
right.
opposed to a good one. So, but you can, if you drizzle it on your salad, it's brilliant. And that's why there's
Yeah.
healthy Italians, healthy
Yeah.
Greeks, Spanish people, because they have olive oil on their food all the time. Now, but we tend not to cook with it. Avocado is fine to cook with, and so is coconut oil.
Coconut.
You're right, it's not everybody's cup of tea. And that's
I
brilliant
just
that
don't
you
like
said
the taste
that.
of
That's
coconut
brilliant.
for some
No, that's
reason.
really helpful that you said
Yeah,
that
but
because
avocado oil doesn't have a flavor much. The
no,
oil itself is
just
nice.
yeah. So I will cook with that and or coconut oil because I can't really taste that either, to be honest.
Oh,
Um,
I
doesn't
usually can. For
doesn't
some reason I can.
yeah. So
You
it
know,
doesn't
like,
really bother me. But if it does, then do that. Or as you say, very high grade. There are some olive oils and that, but they're expensive.
they're very expensive now. Interestingly enough, and our Safeway is the Kroger for those of people in America. I
Mm.
found an organic, I like California olive oil because it's fresher. And they have an organic 100% California olive oil. And I think it was about 24 ounces. It, wasn't the huge bottle, but it was a decent sized bottle for like 17.95 this week. So if you have a Kroger around you or you live where there's a Safeway,
Check
that
on the prices.
check that out. I was shocked. I said, "Oh, I'm getting a couple of these." So I don't know if it was just a week thing, special for the week
But they'll do
or
it again.
what.
They'll probably do it once a year.
Yeah, but it was
Anybody
their
watching it,
organic brand. They have the their organic brand. So
nice,
it
nice.
was that brand.
Well, that's
It
helpful.
was it
That's
was
not
organic.
no, I know that's not so expensive.
No,
So
but
again,
it is. It's been up close, 30,
oh, it could be
$40.
30, yeah, 30
Yeah,
bucks.
really
So
expensive.
we look around somebody's kitchen and we get curious and just tell me what kinds of things do you eat?
Mhm.
And what kind of things do you and like to snack on and or do you have and then you know but sometimes this has happened to me, they've showed me the whole pantry and that's been really sweet, and then I've gone, okay, and I've seen packs of Oreos, packs of this, packs of that, and I go, okay.
Mhm.
And it's
Me
like,
too. Yeah.
well, I wonder if have you ever tried fig rolls? Have you ever tried fig rolls? Actually, they're quite nice, but just something that is a little bit less than just full on sugar.
Yeah.
Dried fruit,
Yeah.
and you have less, and then of
Right.
course dried fruit, although we know it's got sugar in it,
Mhm.
proves it's giving them fiber,
Yeah.
because so often people, if they're not drinking, they will get dehydrated and they will get constipation,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that in itself will cause
Mhm.
problems.
Sure.
Now, um, people will, one of the recommended things in this is to add, and I've put it in the notes, I'm sure, is to add coconut oil to your coffee if you have it. You can't taste
Mm.
it because it's meant to be tasteless, but quite clearly you can still taste it. But that can have the adverse effect of giving people diarrhea. So
Oh.
it's like, so you have to be careful. But if they do have constipation, then that will help. Again, we have to
Mm.
remember we are not treating, we are
Yeah.
not diagnosing, we are not actually giving any uh, uh, what am I saying? And any sort of like things for them to take. Like we can't even
Right.
recommend that they drink
Exactly.
water. We can just say this is what is suggested, and it's your choice. But we can't actually tell people what to do,
Right.
because you might be able to because you're in the state of Arizona. I definitely can't because I'm in the state of North Carolina. So
Mm.
anybody doing this in England, you'll be fine, but you have to be careful. Just give, this is what's recommended, this is what this says,
Yeah.
this is what this says. It's your
Even if
choice.
you can give them an article or something, or a,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly. And
like
so
you
that's for
say,
the
a
care
book
partner.
or something that, you know, recommends, and some people read it, some
Yeah.
people,
Yeah, and some
you
people
know,
won't. And that's for the care partner or the person who, when they first got their
right.
diagnosis, and
Right.
can actually say, all right, well, actually, no, I don't want that. Yeah, that I can see that would make a difference. Because
Yeah.
it's what else can we do that would make a difference? And if it sometimes it really doesn't need to be that much. Again, turmeric is really good. Turmeric you can add to scrambled eggs, you can add it to certain things. Turmeric is very good, or they might prefer to take the tablet form, but
Yeah.
turmeric has been known to
I
help.
prefer that.
Yeah. And that's why I take mushroom coffee. Have you heard about mushroom coffee? Is very
Yes,
good.
I have. It's interesting because I order a lot of my vitamins online because I can get them cheaper because I
Yeah,
don't have, you know.
yeah, you can.
And so one week they sent me about 3 little containers of this mushroom coffee or whatever it was. Is that it's called mushroom coffee?
Yeah,
Is that,
it's got
is that
lion's mane and this and that and all the other stuff. And yeah, I have it. It's meant to give you clarity. Uh,
yeah.
and I really enjoy it. So I that's what I have.
Do you notice a difference?
Well, I don't know because I take so many other things as well. Who knows?
Right.
Who knows? I'd have to not take it now. Um,
Right.
so, but
Right.
it's just more the more. What's the worst thing that will happen?
Yeah, right. Right. Now, does that have caffeine in it, like
Well, the latest
typical
one
coffee?
does. Yeah, I think it does. My latest one does because it's actually in a pack. I think I've put it in the Facebook group already, but I'll do it again. If you come across anything that's good for the memory, put it in the Facebook group.
Sure.
That's what it's there for. We can just add
Yeah.
things. It's
Yeah.
it's nice. It's nice to share.
Yeah.
And so it's like,
Yeah.
there are just other people in there, and
Mhm.
and so that they can see it,
Mhm.
because it's all about all the more the more. What else? What
Yeah.
else? What else?
Sure.
I've suddenly put, every so often, if I found a good game or something that people can do, that's helpful to keep the mind going.
Mhm.
But food is what we put in our mouths, you know, and how
That's
it's
right.
grown.
And it's what fuels our body. So what kind of fuel are we going to give ourselves to
Yeah.
really operate optimally?
Yeah. Are you going to give yourself A grade, or are you going to give yourself, D grade?
Yeah, the
It's
most
like,
important
and then I
thing.
know a lot of it goes to expense
Mhm.
for some people. However, fruit and vegetables, you can.
Yes.
You really can. Okay. It doesn't need to be that much. And then and just reduce the other stuff. And then it's just changing your taste buds over.
Right. Well, that's what I've decided because there's a couple really great recipes I've gotten recently, and I thought, oh my gosh, they would have so much salt in them. So I thought, well, I'm going to have to make my own, you know. But, not everybody can do that or wants to do that kind of
No,
thing.
I know. And then there's
Um,
the other thing
so,
that actually your taste buds, as people get older, taste goes. So that's another sense that actually goes. So it's like, so that's why people want to add more salt to
mm,
give the food
mm,
some taste. Well,
yeah,
we can add pepper and we can add turmeric,
yeah,
and you can add other flavors,
yeah,
garlic,
yeah,
onions. You can go for the other stuff,
yeah,
as you say, Himalayan good salts with the minerals. So it's like, not just straight up salt from the salt cellar.
right.
So it's about being, clever about it. But that's
Mhm.
why people go for it. So it's quite interesting.
Yeah. My mother had dementia, and we talked about that before, and she loved sugar. And we know sugar's dreadful for dementia.
Mm.
And when she eventually was in a home because she was, we just had to
Yeah,
because
yeah, yeah, yeah. She needed the extra help. She needed the extra care.
Um, but they give these packs of sugar, and on her meat and potatoes and she'd take that sugar and she'd put it all over that food.
There you go.
Yeah, something.
That is something. And you know what? She was in the stages of where, okay, and
Well,
if
she
she's in
really didn't
stage, if she's
hardly
you know,
recognize people at that
yeah,
point.
yeah, if she's in stage 6, 7, is anybody going to change it then? No, no,
Mm-mm.
it's just what the person
Well,
wants.
let her go, let her eat it.
Yeah, because but if the people we would see are in their early stages, so it's how long can we keep them in that stage before they get to
Right.
that stage?
Exactly.
So that
Exactly.
actually, I don't know, something else might take them out before it does. Because at the end of the day, we all have to realize we're going to die.
Yeah.
You
Right.
know, it,
Right.
it's fact. You know,
Right.
it just is. We
Yeah.
don't necessarily want it, but it's fact.
Yeah.
And so it's like, but if we can be in, if we've been given this diagnosis of having whatever dementia we've got, then how long can we keep that bit? And if you eat well, you eat right, then actually it's probably you're gonna give yourself in that area at least maybe an extra year before
Yeah.
you go down that bit. And so actually, as you say, you may pass away from something else before the Alzheimer's gets you,
Yeah. Yeah.
maybe cancer, maybe, I don't know, whatever, maybe get knocked over, maybe, I don't know, something else,
Right.
as
Right.
opposed to actually not knowing anybody or anything. Um, it's a very tricky subject, the whole thing of demise. Nobody likes it,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it's fact. You know,
It
it's
is.
so there's funny enough, there's a whole thing of in this thing that I did about fear of death, fear of dying. People do have
Yeah.
a fear of dying.
Yeah. And I've heard, and I tend to agree that a lot of people aren't so much afraid to die as they are afraid of how they're going to die.
I agree. Yeah. Mhm.
That is kind of the, you know, what am I going to have to go through to get there?
Yeah, no, it's
you
true.
know?
And that's why the whole,
As like you say, we all know there is an end.
yeah, and it's the how. I couldn't agree more. So what's going to take us out? Are we going to die in our sleep?
Yeah.
Are we going to get pneumonia? And then that's like, because that's often called the old man's friend, isn't it?
Mhm.
Pneumonia or flu or something like that, because it's like he knows he's got to die, but actually you're just ill, and then you just go to sleep, and then you just die in your sleep. Um, so it's but yeah, I mean, actually, we look at our good friend Jim Kellner. I don't know if you ever met him. He was lovely and he was so young, but actually, I mean, he was my age, and he had a cold and he died.
Had a cold and died. Oh my gosh.
And he just didn't wake up. But actually, isn't that the way we all want to die? Just
Yeah.
go to sleep and not wake up.
Yeah. That sounds
He,
like a plan.
he was just he had no massive pain, apart from he was feeling ill because of this cold.
Yeah. Well, I know Dr. Ann Spencer, and gosh, I haven't even been in touch with her for a very long time, but one of the things that she would say is that I'm perfectly healthy and alert every day of my life.
Mm.
That was one of her like affirmations. Um, so you know how powerful those things are. So that's,
I love that.
you
I'm
know,
perfectly healthy every day of my life.
perfectly healthy every day of my life.
There we
That's
go.
what she
I'm
would say.
perfectly healthy every
And
day of
it's
my
Dr. Ann Spencer. She was the originator. She originated the International Medical and Dental Hypnotherapy Association.
life. Oh,
That's
nice.
her baby. Yeah, that was her baby. And I originally learned from her hypnosis. So, but that was one of the things she would say. I'm perfectly healthy every day of my life.
There you go. Okay, well, maybe you could tell your husband that as well. I'm
Yeah.
perfectly healthy every day. So that's
Well,
a,
he thinks he is. I mean,
well, that's fine then. And so he
I
is.
mean, he just has kind of a, for the most part, a joy about life or whatever. So, but
I'm going to put that on my, I'm perfectly on my fridge.
yeah,
I'm perfectly, and this is what I encourage people to do. I'm perfectly healthy to do things like this
every day of my life. Yeah.
every day of my life. There you go. Okay. And you just see that and you read it and you just are.
Yes. Yes.
Simple as that. And so these are the colored post-it notes. Yellow, people see yellow. And so
Mhm.
that's what I always, I got that from Beryl actually, who said that yellow, if you have yellow post-it note, people will see yellow.
Oh, okay.
So I've gotten some of my
Yeah.
clients fridges is be kind.
There you go.
Be kind, because they forget,
Absolutely.
they snap at each other.
Yeah. Yeah. I know.
They've been married for so long. The other one is irritating or not doing it. So it's like, be kind.
I know.
They forget, you
Exactly.
know. So it's like, oh yeah, be kind. Always be kind.
Mhm.
Crazy, isn't it? So yes, so it goes back to how can we very kindly
Mhm.
talk about their food
Yeah.
and what they're consuming.
Yeah. So I liked that you said you were curious about it. You just made that point of
Yeah, just tell me what's going on. What do you do? And that's it. So it's
just
all
the kind
just
of
mind.
probably on almost an intake type of thing, curiosity, curious,
Yeah, it's how we do it in the
type of,
first session, really. It comes in the first session.
yeah.
So we're talking about changes of food, so that it's a plan. It's a shared, agreed action plan. And if
Yeah.
you've got the daughter or the son there, then you can, and you say it in just such a nice way. But that's why, again, we're always calibrating. And you know what that means, like watching out how their body language, and if suddenly you're talking about food and they go, or just notice, we notice.
Yeah, people are really interesting as far as food goes, I think.
Yeah,
Mm,
yeah. And you
they-
can tell from their bodies,
Like, yeah.
are they this or are they that, or are they happy to talk about it? Some are, I've got that, some are on, oh yes, we're on a keto diet, we're on this. And, so I say to them, how do you do keto?
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
You see, how do you do it? It's like saying with so many people, how do you do anxiety? How do you do OCD? How do you do it? How do you do depression? How do you, because I know in my mind, but I don't know how they do it.
Yeah,
So I get curious.
sure.
And I think that's
I
so
think it's
it's
great.
it's a much nice isn't it gentle?
It is
How do,
much more gentle.
yeah, all the words tell me more.
Mhm. That's a
I
good
mean,
thing too.
yeah, it's really
Yeah.
nice. How do you do that? How tell me more? Especially with the diet. How do you do keto? What do you do? So now they're telling you how they
Yeah.
do it, and they feel as though they're explaining. And people love to tell
Sure.
you how they love to share information of how well they're doing. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then you can go, yeah, that sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
Or you could go, oh, I love that. And you could do this. And oh, I've heard some other people do this as well. So you're just saying, I've heard, you're just making it all very, very lovely and conversational so that
Mhm.
it's all gentle, gentle, gentle instead of, well, no, so prescriptive because we don't do prescriptions. It's just nice little conversations,
Mhm.
so that they go, oh, yes, that's a good idea. And then they might write it down and it's just gentle.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
it's just always about, and then noticing the salt.
Yeah.
Very interesting. And I love that you
Yeah.
know so much about that.
Well, I'm getting educated quickly. I did know about but actually when we purchase foods, salt that's in these foods is pretty amazing. The amount of
Yeah.
salt.
And I
It's
hate
just
to say it,
amazing.
especially in America.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
I agree with you. I
pretty
agree with you.
diabolical. And the
Mhm.
fast food, because of preservation,
Mhm. Yeah,
and the more you have salt, the more you want to drink pop.
that's right.
And then in America, you have refills.
Right.
And if you go to Europe, you have buy one Coke and that's it.
That's it. When I was in Germany, you bought a Coke and you got a shot of cognac. I was in high school and it didn't matter if you ordered a bottle of Coke, you got a shot of cognac with it.
Well,
A
here
glass of
you get a
Coke.
you get a
Yeah.
you literally, I mean, in America you will get you drink your Coke and then you can go refill it and you take that Coke in your car
Yeah.
because you get
You bet.
refills.
You
It's
bet.
free refills.
You bet.
So how much Coke is being consumed?
Hmm. Yeah.
It's so all the soda. It's like it's just not surprising.
Yeah.
It's crazy, really crazy. So anyway, is that helpful today?
Yeah. It's always helpful.
Always helpful.
And I'm glad you had a wonderful trip. Yeah.
So yeah, so just talking about the food and how much, and it's like, it's so today's was really again just getting curious. When we're starting
About
in our
the
first
food.
session, we go in and that's how to do it, just really nicely and gently,
Mhm.
a
Yeah.
way to do it.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
really helpful that you had
There's
that
enough to
conversation.
be dealt with, both for the caregiver and the.
Yeah, it's just to discuss the food because so many people won't know how to do that gently and nicely. And now it's really important that we bring in the whole salt thing
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
see that to see.
Mhm.
But what I'll do is I'll take pictures of that now and put it in the Facebook group
Yeah.
so that
Great.
you've got
Thank you.
those. Okay, because I think
Yeah.
that'll be really helpful.
Mhm.
Okay, so that you've got
Absolutely.
those. All right.
Thank
Um, Anyway, it's raining here. I'm coming to Arizona.
you, Jane. When are you coming?
Yeah, end of 29th of um May to the 5th of June.
Oh, you are? Where are you going to be?
Um, begins with an S. Scottsdale.
That's Dale. Very nice. Oh, I would love, is there a reason or are you just visiting?
My husband's just said I've been working so much and he's not seen me, so we need to have a week together.
Well, we have to plan. I mean, I'm thinking that I don't know when Chuck will have these stints. I don't know how that process will be, but we should meet up.
Yeah. Whereabouts are you?
You and I, pardon?
Where are
I'm
you?
in Prescott, Arizona,
Oh, so you're
which
not.
is I'm about an hour away from Sedona. A little I
Oh,
would say,
you're near Dr.
yeah, I'm
Daniel
north.
Nightingale. He's Preston.
Who is?
Dr. Daniel Nightingale.
He's in Prescott?
Yeah,
He is?
yeah,
Well,
because
yeah. Well, you'll
yeah,
have to come. It's a lovely little town, and we love the
I've been
mountains.
there. I've been
Not
there.
as cold.
No, no, I've
Yeah.
been to Prescott. Because where we stayed in Sedona a couple of years ago, so I saw
Yeah,
him.
it's
We
close.
went to
It's
Prescott.
just an
Yeah,
hour or so away,
yeah, we
but
did
it's
a
yeah.
kayak ride.
Oh, over in the Dells, the
Yeah,
Granite Dells. Is
mm,
that where you were?
I'm
Yeah,
fairly sure. But my husband will remember more because he was the one who was driving.
yeah,
But and then we went
exactly.
to that that cute little place up in the mountains that you have to drive. What's that called?
Jerome.
Jerome. We went there.
Jerome. Yeah, that's a unique little place.
Yeah, we went there. That was kind of crazy.
Haunted Jerome.
Yeah, we went
It's
there.
haunted, you know.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what they say. There's a lot of haunted things. We have a haunted tour here in Prescott too.
yeah, yeah. No, it was cool. But yeah, no, we're staying
So,
in because we didn't do Scottsdale, we didn't do Phoenix, so we're going to stay there this time. So,
yeah.
yeah,
Well, Scottsdale's lovely.
yeah. No,
It's
I've heard it
nice.
would be
It's
nice.
very nice
But yeah, we
and
just need a week of whatever. I mean, I'll still do this as a week,
downtime.
but yeah,
Yeah.
I'll
But I would